You're listening to Love and Pillow Talk with relationship coach and spiritual matchmaker, Madam Coach Priera.
Welcome to WGSN-DB, Love and Pillow Talk with Madam Coach Priera, where I'm going to be up and close and personal with you. And today I have an amazing guest, Cardessa Kerr. She is going to be talking about a lot of things that are going on when it comes to relationships, to money, your relationships, to so many different things. And you know what? These are simple principles that are important for us to apply in whatever direction we're going on. So I welcome Cardessa. Thank you for joining me and everybody else this evening.
Hello, Madam Coach. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited for this.
I am too. And you know what? I just want to go ahead and jump on in this because you have a formula that is so exciting to hear about how this came. But I want you to break it down and tell us what the initials C, capital K-E-R to the second power means to you.
Okay, wow. Well, we're just going to open it up there, right?
Let's make what it do.
We're going to dive right in then. So first of all, to understand my formula, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Cardessa Kerr, and I've always signed my name first initial, last name, C. Kerr. And over a while, you sign C. Kerr, you say C. Kerr, and I realized, okay, this is seeker, and I am a seeker. I'm a life path 7, which is the number of the seeker. And, a couple of years ago, I was working with a branding guy, and I said, I'm really trying to understand how can I package myself. And we talked for an hour and a half on our session. And I basically told him about my life through a series of answers to his questions. And after our conversation, he told me, okay, what I want you to do is turn everything you just told me into a philosophy. And I'm like, okay, a philosophy. Now I've got to actually do some work. So I cleared my desk, which is rare. I cleared my desk all the way off, except for one thing, my deadly weapon, my sticky note dispenser. So I pull a sticky note, I slap it down on my desk, and I write the first word that comes to mind. And I write down the word conquer. And I'm reflecting on that word. I said, okay, that makes sense. I've overcome a lot in my life. And I pull another sticky note and I put it down my desk and I write down the word knowledge. I'm like, okay, all right, check. I pull another sticky note and I write down the word explore. And I pull the fourth sticky note and I write down the word realize. So I'm like, okay, a philosophy. All right. And so I'm looking at these 4 words on my desk: conquer, knowledge, explore, realize. And I realized, oh, crap, this is my name. This is my initial spelled out, C-K-E-R. And I obviously wasn't trying to make a namegram. This is just how these ideas came out on the pen. I
love that. I love that name.
Yeah. So, it kind of freaked me out for a second. And I put those sticky notes in a black box and I tried to ignore it. And for 2 weeks, it was all I could think about. So eventually I pulled them out and I did some searching around these words. I meditated on what do these themes mean in my life? And I was able to recall stories and just major experiences wrapped around these 4 themes. And so, obviously that's great, but I was like, so what? How can somebody else use this to make their life better? And I realized that this actually was a philosophy. Most of the time we hear, aim high, set outrageous goals, but sometimes you're in a position where you really don't have it in you to just aim for this. You got to just deal with yourself. So the first step in the formula, Seeker's formula, is conquer. And that has to do with gaining control of yourself, taking conscious control of your own human apparatus, your habits, your thinking, your bad habits, the things that are not serving you. So conquer is the first step. Once you get a grip on yourself, you can go on and acquire some knowledge. And I'm not talking about degrees or information. I'm talking about divine knowledge of self, really understanding who you are at a deep level. Knowledge of the mind. How does the mind work? This is our standard operating equipment. Knowledge of God, and not this man in the cloud who we often think about, but the true nature of spirit and understanding our relationship to spirit, and also knowing the laws of the universe, how things happen, how results occur. So once we have a grip on how things are going on, who we are, then we can really have the gumption, right, to explore, and then have the nerve to ask, okay, what do I want?
I know, and you know what, I have to get in the middle of this because, we're the same when it comes to communication. We just be flowing that wisdom out there. And I like to put out here, when you talk about conquering, you state definitely the negative thinking, the warped self-image, the poverty resistance, the fear, the procrastination. I was like, that is a lot of us out here, okay? We are all in that conquering. So I just had to make out there those non-productive habits. That is where we're at. We have to look at it, changing that system in our mind that we've been programmed with, to change it to be positive thinking. That is big. That is big. So I just wanted to include that too.
I'm glad you jumped in. And with that conquering, I represent the letter C with a bar on top of it to remind us that we are our own limitations. So it's to the degree that we conquer ourselves, that we master these habits and thinking, that we succeed, right? So conquer, knowledge, and then exploring. Today we have so many opportunities available to us, it's mind-boggling. As compared to just 50, 60 years ago. Right. Especially if for a person of color. I mean, our opportunities have just been exponentially expanded.
Thank you.
And, and so it's like, it's a must that we explore everything that's out there, because right now we have the privilege of doing exactly what our hearts desire and turning that into a profession, turning that into a mission, a vocation, whatever it is that suits you. So really exploring your mission and purpose, exploring your talents and strengths, exploring your desires. One of the hardest questions to answer is, what do I want?
Right. That is, and it is powerful, but just like you said, when it comes to going within and listening, and that's why meditation is so important, is to get people to go within and make that interconnection so they can quiet everything down to listen, get out of your way. You ask the question, be specific about it, and allow the answer, the information to come to you. But I want to back this up a little bit, because you talked about the knowledge of self. And this is so important. And give us some more insight, because you're talking about the true nature of God or spirit, whatever way anybody wants to look at that, and how the mind works and that creative process. And also, we hear this all the time, especially in line with the book, The Secret, the universal law. So give us a little bit more insight about the knowledge of self.
Okay. I followed the advice. It was almost a commandment when we were young. Go to school, study hard, get an education, get a good job, save your money. And that traditional path of acquiring knowledge will kind of leave you wanting. You come out with a degree, sometimes you can't find a job. Sometimes you find a job, you hate the job. Sometimes you're working a job and you don't know how to make extra money. You don't know how to make decisions. You don't know anything about yourself. So I kind of had to start over, and I figured out, this is not traditional knowledge that we're after. This is not the real golden goose here. The golden goose is knowledge of, that's the beginning of all wisdom, knowing who you are to the core. And I look at self-knowledge as having two levels. There's the surface level of self, which I describe as the personality, the things that make you, you, the things that make me, our quirks, our habits, and all things like that. And that's very important. It's extremely important, as a matter of fact. But there's also this universal aspect of self, the thing about you and me that are exactly the same. And the more you learn about that universal aspect of the self, the more you know about everybody else that you come in contact with. And that's a powerful thing.
And the oneness is what you're talking about right now. The universal stuff, that's the oneness, right, with all things.
Well, yes, and more specifically, understanding basically, okay, in church, in religion, we've got the Holy Trinity. We've got the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. But a lot of times people can go all through life not realizing that we are a Trinity. We are spiritual, the intellectual, the physical, right?
Yes.
And we can look at it also as having the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body, and understanding how these three pieces interact with each other to create our results. And so when you get a proper understanding of that, you can start to observe people, and by their behavior, by observing them, you can understand what is happening in their mind, because our body is simply an instrument of the mind.
Yes, yes. And I'm on that same page.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had this conversation, but when we let's go into the results, the realizing the results, because you have a phrase there that I love to say, and again, it's all involved in doing our personal work and dealing with the lower, as I call them, the lower need deficiency areas in our life, so that we can reach the pinnacle up right there at the tip of the triangle, which is self-actualization, that you say character and time and your money, freedom. So Give us a little bit more insight on the wisdom that you can bring to the table to get people to understand a new perspective, an additional perspective to look at when we're talking about self-actualization.
Sure. So the final piece of the formula is realizing results. And this is simply goal achievement. This is actualizing the thing that you want, whether it's time and money freedom, whether it's self-love and accepting yourself for who you are, accepting your past, but whether it's finding that ideal career. When I look at the word realize, we use it one way in conversation, and then the other way is making things real, making the goals real, bringing these visions and ideas onto the physical plane, manifestation. And so realizing results, like you said, it's the pinnacle of the pyramid. It's reaching the top in however you define that. Obviously, there's really no end to the journey. So the beautiful thing about realizing a result is that from that new vantage point, you can turn around and go the other way through the formula. And from this vantage point now, explore. What do I want now? What is the new star that I'm going to shoot at? And once you set your sights on a new star, then you realize, okay, there is some knowledge that I need to acquire that goal, to attain that new level of success. Once you get the certain knowledge, and this time around it may be specialized knowledge, but of course we know just knowing it is not enough. We have to become a new person. So we're then conquering ourselves again and really refining our character and becoming a better you.
Right, and you're saying that eloquently, and basically how I just say it, it's like the game of life. It's like actually playing a video game, and you're leveling up. You're leveling up every level. There's new things. There's new soulmates. There's new relationships. There's new karma to deal with. We haven't even tackled that yet. There's
right.
All these kinds of different things, and this is powerful. I know you agree with me because we had this conversation. It sounds so easy. And people know that it resonates with their heart. But what happens once it resonates with their heart, that ego mind kicks in. And guess what? A lot of us out there cannot get past the understanding. We have to learn how to shut that mind down because we've given it over. We've given over to fear. We've given it over to the ego mind. And the ego is talking us out. Well, again, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. And also, we're speaking this over ourselves. We're speaking this negative words over ourselves. And so therefore, how can we get out of that vicious cycle? So I love this formula because the Seeker's formula, because it's so simple and so exact. And it's not a lot of fluff. It's what I call the spiritual wisdom of common sense. That
I love that.
That all of us have access to, but a lot of us out there are still just doing the me thing. I'm gonna do it out, and I hate to say this too. A lot of us that have those higher degrees, all that stuff behind our names, and I've met quite a few. But I can tell you, I'm gonna say it. They're definitely exercising archetype of stupidness. They're just stupid because. I'm going to say it, and I've been given permission to say this because I know growing up, this is definitely not a word that you say to people because it's not a nice word. However, I met an amazing soulmate who just brought it to me and said, girl, let me tell you something. There's some stupid humans out here. I didn't say human beings. So separate themselves from spirit. They're separating themselves from God. Therefore, they're not whole there. They're just exercising the physicalness, the emotional thing, the thing that we have, the one little extra thing that we have that no other animal has, and it messes us up. It trips us up. So
it sure does.
There it is. Take it from there. Add the next phase to that.
Well, I think that Moses put it, behold, I give you a blessing and a curse. And I would propose that people are simply facing the wrong way. And it comes back to this idea of duality, the law of polarity. When we're caught up in doubt and worry, we're on the negative pole. And this is how it trickles down. It's doubt and worry in the conscious mind. And in our subconscious mind, that translates into fear. And fear is a vibration, you know, and we know that whatever's in the subconscious mind is being expressed through the body. And so fear isn't expressed, it's suppressed. It's anxiety. Feel this vibration of anxiety, and we're suppressing that. We're not really talking to anybody about it. We're not shouting it from the rooftops, but we're feeling it, and we're suppressing that. And that suppression turns into depression. And that depression turns into dis-ease, a body not at ease. And as